So, just such a lovely and a very different kind of aesthetic and mood from like a lot of the other stuff we see in this. Is this sort of your typical style, or is this like a tangent that you went on?
Well, the film I made before this one, which was like my student film, I had done in like watercolor and hand-drawn pencil, and I've always dabbled in like digital media often, but not really in this way. But this is kind of like my unemployment film. Like I was just like living at home with my mom, and I didn't have access to many resources. I just had my iPad, so I was just working with what I had, and just whenever I'm given any material to work with, I kind of like to lean into what makes that specific material unique. So I was really leaning into these like flat colors and gradients, and like just seeing and like these transparencies I can work with within digital media. So yeah, that's just kind of how it happened. But I guess like I have worked with digital 2D, but not really in this way.
Nice, nice. And was the sound design something that was happening at the same time, or did that come afterwards?
A little bit, I would say, like while I was, like a lot of these are kind of rotoscoped. So while I was shooting my references, I also was recording some sounds. But I didn't use a lot of them. I used some of them just because I only had my iPhone.
Uh-huh.
So I was recording a lot of sound on my iPhone, and obviously the audio isn't great. So I had like sounds in mind, and then I would like make a cut and sit down and like go into Logic, like the software, and it was very stream of consciousness, everything. So I would say like somewhat at the same time.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
And were you inspired by ASMR, or are you interested in that?
I mean, I feel like when you are cooking a lot, you kind of, the sounds are like more apparent to you, especially when you're slicing fruit. So I guess like in a way I was really listening to these sounds of apples, and like when I was looking for sounds on Freesound, I was just like hearing so many there's so many apple sounds on Freesound. And like, yeah, I mean, it was nice to listen to.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Questions from the audience? Anyone? Yeah.
I feel like with like the parallels from the girl to the apple, like seeing the apple get like bitten into or cut is like so like violent, and like I'm wondering if you were like thinking about this like kind of like implied violence and like the red and the, because it's like it's not violent but it is because you're thinking about them as the same.
I actually haven't really thought about it in that way. I almost, not really a violence, but when I was kind of coming up with it, I was more the feeling of getting haunted. I did think like, I guess like because I see it in like a cooking context, the knife didn't feel like a violent tool to me, but I can totally understand that viewpoint now. But really for me, I kind of pictured this idea of like a woman getting haunted by apples and then eventually becoming one, kind of. So I guess both are spooky in a way. But yeah, I guess like looking at it now, there is like somewhat of a violence to it. Like sometimes, but I always thought like sometimes she's like the skin of the apple is her clothes. Sometimes it's her. Or sometimes it's like the blanket, like, you know.
Nice. Yeah. Anyone else? Yeah.
Why did you pick the apple and not any other fruit? Because apples have so many connotations and history and tales.
This is kind of a long story. I'll make it as short as I can. But basically, what happened is I wanted to make a film. I just had gotten I had no work to do, and I was just like at home, and it was the summertime, and a lot of the content of my film revolves around like womanhood and this idea of metamorphosis of some sort. But at the time, I wanted to use peaches because it was the summertime, and like we were eating a lot of peaches at the time, and like something about the shape of a peach, and I was like, oh, it's like so woman, like like everything about a peach. And then by the time I actually got down to like start recording footage, I like so naturally just went to the fridge to open up to like grab a peach, and like by the time that happened, it was like September, and there were no more peaches. So I called my mom. I was like, "Did we eat all the peaches? Like we ate that like weeks ago, and we had apples." But I was just like, I don't know if I want to use apples. So I went down to the grocery store. There were no more peaches, at least the ones I was looking for. And then and then I went. So I was just like. And we just had so many apples for some reason. So and like I think my aunt had like gone apple picking or something, and then so I was just like, I'll just use an apple for now. And then I grabbed the apple and I started like just like going crazy with it. I still have so much like apple videos on my on my phone, just like slicing at it, peeling it, and, like just like manhandling it. And then I was just like, now I'm tied to this. And that's also how I kind of got like the haunting, like getting haunted by apples. And that's also what kind of inspired that shot of the fridge, really. It looks like the apples just multiplying. So yeah, that's kind of why I chose apples. It was kind of against my will, but I accepted it.
Nice. Yeah. Well, because it's kind of maybe more dramatic in terms of like the color and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what? Are you on to your next project yet, or what?
Yeah, I'm trying right now. I'm actually doing kind of like two things at once. I'm developing a pitch for a TV show. I can't really say much about though. And then I am also working on a narrative short for my next film. Yeah.
Well, thanks so much for sharing this with us and for being here, and
Thank
looking
you.
forward to more. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.